So I'm out again with the Spartan, the buck Hoodlum, with the handle repaired a little, worked on. So you can see some nice heavy branches back there. Some slighter ones in this vicinity. All these are dead, they're below the point at which light will come in, so you can see no life left in these. So we'll clean these up, and as an example, you can see these pieces of wood back here. That's the size that I'd like a step up from these knives. These are about the 450 gram class. To work on those trees, I'd like the weight to be at least 50%, but ideally a bit more than that. So you're looking at things like the Battle Mistress from Bus Combat, Chris Kane's Survival Knife, Dan Keffler's Large Custom Blade, stuff like that. So we got a lot of the limbs cleared off here, and again I'm only working in the low light conditions, so the higher limbs are all left there because they're still picking up light, and you can see they got nice fresh green vegetation on them. Same as down here. Again, we'll zoom in here now, and you can see all the low-lying limbs have been cut off, but all the high ones are still there. The handle has improved dramatically, and what I've done is I've flattened off the index finger choil region here, again rounded this off and rounded back right here extensively. So now for example, if I was just cleaning these up, it's a very light grip like this. My thumb is nicely on this rounded area, index finger. Everything is nice, and you can see even if I slip a little bit and go right on the index finger, it's no longer a point. So I mean, little pops, and all these come right off. There's no point in taking big swings at these. With a nice, decent sharpness and edge profile, of course, they'll all come off. Now, after about 30 minutes work, this is nice, these are nice, but a full grip around here, still having some issues. This is not uncomfortable anymore. There's no instant aggravation. After about a half hour, I've got no hot spots, nothing like this. And this is rather some hard chopping on the end of it. Now this is one of the real problems that you find when you're working with doing this kind of work. See the mess that the limbs are in? You often don't have a very clear angle of attack. And when you're chopping one limb, often you can go into another, so you can get a lot of glancing. And it's going to be difficult to film this while I'm doing it, but all you can basically do is try to open the area up a little bit. It would have been better to get on it. So now you're alive. Leave you alone. Now, the easiest thing would be to take this out of the way, then I could clear all them off. But if you go up, way up, that's actually up past the canopy, so wouldn't be good to cut that. So I've got a very short range to get at this one. Out of the way, buddy. Now I got some room opened up. Get out of the way, that one's fine like that. You out of there. So we often can't do full swings because I'm just hitting off this, so power is relatively low. Now we're almost finished. Clear some of this. Now, get out of the way. So, now, if and when I do come back to fell this later on, I just cut that off down there, can chunk it to length, and I can also come up, clear off some of these leaves later on. So here's an example. See how the handle on the Spartan extends the scales right up around the tang. So even when you're doing a partial rear grip, your contact points are full width of the handle. So it's just as comfortable down here as it is on a grip up here. And similarly, the index finger ridge, there's really no discomfort working with that. And the handle fits the hand much better. Now, in here, this came much more rounded than the index finger on the Hoodlum. In fact, this now is similar to what I have done with the Hoodlum, but this also could benefit for some more rounding. And you can see the transition area where the blade grind meets full stock right here and right here. I'll go in. You can see, yeah, these little hooks. Okay, you can see them there, right? That you want these sort of blended fully back as well, and essentially get rid of this right here and just blend that back in. Now some people like that for aesthetics, but for a grip you can see your finger goes over that, so you make contact with that point and then contact with this point. So again, round all that off and round all this off, and I'll do all that later on as well. And again, the spine on this is broken, much better than the Hoodlum's was, but could benefit again from more rounding to give you a really nice comfort level here like this. Now, I was intending today to look at the recurve on this and the hump and compare them to the straight edge on the Hoodlum, but I've only got about a half hour of light left, and I want to do some more work on the Hoodlum just to check the edge durability, because I've resharpened it and I want to see if it's improved over the performance initially and verify my working idea that the edge was just burnt and it's not a steel quality. So I'm going to do another half hour's work now and see how that makes out. So another half hour's work concentrating on some of the heavier limbs. You can see there, that relatively large tree, and clearing out this area. So the handle is relatively fine in a grip like this now. The index finger's rounded off and off here, don't feel any issues. In a partial grip down here, yeah, I wouldn't want to work much more than about a half hour, because it is starting to generate a bit of discomfort. So I mean, it definitely isn't a blade that I can take for a full day's work, simply because of that. And again, it's simply because the handle doesn't extend up onto the tang. Now, this is fully rounded off. I can round it off a little bit there maybe, but even fully rounded off, I mean, essentially in a partial grip, your finger is contacting that, so you're on 1/4 of an inch. I think what I can do though is put a paracord wrap in around here and sort of buffer that up a little bit, so I'll be meeting on a paracord rather than on that. So I think I'll take that for the next time when I do the comparison against Gav's blade. Thing I wanted to check was the edge retention. So this had about an hour of chopping on small diameter hardwoods. The edge is picking up damage in multiple areas, but it took a lot more work and the damage is not as extensive as it was last time. So the edge is improving in durability, which is what I wanted to see. So as I expected, it's not something wrong with the quality of the steel. It simply was overheated when it was initially ground. So ding. So that's half rotation from around 12 feet. That one's for you, John. I don't recommend in general throwing this around, even though, as you see, it's very easy to release straight. No problems with penetration. If you look at the tip, it's very thin. So if you don't get a good hit, and if this over rotated, for example, and hit like that and went to the side, I think you'd leave a piece of it in the tree. So relatively easy to release. It's not that nice to do a no arc throw with it. I mean, you're essentially trying to hold on to this awkward handle, and the best release is sort of finger along the back like that, and you sort of dart throw it. But I mean, it's very easy to throw it from the blade. So again, you can see it's not very difficult, and it throws well from the blade. But again, tip is relatively fragile, so keep that in mind.